for Tuesday. Today we are talking with Nancy from Children's Learning Center. So after our short intro video, we'll go ahead and get into our conversation. Good morning, Nancy. Thank you for joining me today.
Good morning. It's good to be here.
Yeah. So do you just want to take a minute and kind of introduce yourself and tell us more about Children's Learning Center?
Sure. I'm Nancy Teboda. I'm the Executive Director at Children's Learning Center in DeKalb, Illinois. And Children's Learning Center is the longest standing child care program in DeKalb County. And we've been in business since 1968. Started off, just a brief history, started off as a summer migrant workers program. And in around 1974, we expanded into full day, full year childcare, children, infants through preschool. Along down the road a little bit further, we added in school age care, so before and after school care and full day school holiday care for our school agers who attend DeKalb schools. We do provide transportation for those children to and from school. We've just been trying to provide high quality education for children as young as 6 weeks all the way through 12 years of age or through 5th grade. The summer after 5th grade. Sometimes we have to stop the summer before going into 5th grade or after 5th grade, going into 6th grade. So, but we are focused on high quality, and we are we received a gold circle of quality through the state of Illinois, Accelerate Illinois, which is a pretty lofty goal and a challenging process to get to there, but we did. And we have to meet several benchmarks in order to be able to be a gold circle quality. 6 or 7, and it was probably more than that. It's hard to recall how long it's been because time has flown by, but then seems to go by slowly sometimes. But we achieved a national accreditation through Early Learning Leaders, which is a national, it's the National Accreditation Commission. And we just in November went through our 3rd round of validation visits, and we are in the processing period right now. I am hopeful and confident that we will continue to have that NAC accreditation, so that national accreditation. And those are just 2 examples of processes that we've gone through to show families and the community that we are committed to high quality early childhood education and childcare. So,
awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. I did not know that you guys were the longest standing childcare center in the county. So that's, or in DeKalb, is it the county or DeKalb? Or?
It's in the county. It's in the county. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And congratulations on both of those accomplishments. That's
Thank
awesome
you.
to hear.
Thank you.
So how does your partnership with Kishwaukee United Way help you carry out your mission and vision statements?
Well, it allows CLC to get the word out to the community, and it helps us to build partnerships I think that agencies, other agencies, social service agencies, particularly in the county, look to see that we are partners with Kishwaukee United Way. Furthermore, when we go out and are in the community talking about our program and saying that we're a United Way agency, funded agency, we have a partnership, that also, again, it just helps to build that connection. And I think those connections and those partnerships are a lot stronger when other agencies that are also Kishwaukee United Way partner agencies, when we all get together. I know right now it's not safe to do that. Therein lies the reason why we're doing this format as opposed to a traditional walkthrough and visit in the center. But we have also been able, it's allowed us to go out, and when it's the United Way campaign is up and running, and I go into various businesses and give our story to those agencies like 3M and Target and ComEd, and well, it used to be NICOR. I used to go into NICOR too, and just sharing that with them, the success stories that wouldn't be possible if we weren't a United Way funded agency. So I think that it just helps us to build stronger partnerships and to build partnerships with other agencies in our community.
Awesome. I would also like to take this chance to just say thank you. I know CLC also runs their own internal campaign to help raise funds for the United Way as a whole. So I'd like to thank you for that, for doing that. That's awesome. Well, it means a lot.
You're welcome. It's something that's meaningful to me as the director, but also I try to share that impact with our staff when we are doing our campaign, our internal campaign. Years and years and years ago, it was we really had to come up with a really strong format for communicating that to our staff, because some of our staff, very low paid individuals, qualified teachers to food service staff to bus drivers to our janitors, everybody in between. We have had a struggle because they're not making that much, and they didn't realize that even 50 cents a paycheck had an impact. Yes. So over the years, we've been able to build off of that. This year, as we prepare for our campaign for the coming year, we hope to see more participation, because it's always our goal to have 100% participation here at CLC.
Yeah, we certainly appreciate you all doing that. That's awesome.
Well, you're welcome, and we're happy to do it.
As kind of a follow-up to that question, what types of things are you able to accomplish by receiving funding from Kishwaukee United Way?
Well, I think first and foremost, it offers me as the director the reassurance knowing that we have that regular funding stream that helps us with from giving scholarships to some of our families that are on the brink of losing the child care assistance program funding and then going to complete full pay on their own. Right now we have 3 families that are on that cusp. And although the state system does give a 3-month phase out, and the purpose of the state subsidy program is for people to get to that point where you can pay for it on your own with the full fees. For a lot of our families that are transitioning, it's a culture shock.
Yeah.
And it's a financial burden. And so at one level, the United Way resources, financial resources, provides us that reassurance that we can help maybe that family with partial payment for the next 2 months until they get their feet solidly under them. And then they can adjust their finances and make sure that they're paying all of their bills successfully. That's one thing that we do use our Kishwaukee United Way funds for. Another is to pay some of these unexpected bills that come up, or as we are in right now, the dramatic increase in NICOR gas bill, ComEd bill. food service items. We've seen a dramatic increase in those. And so again, having that regular funding stream is so critical and crucial for us to continue to provide to meet our goals and to provide our families with the highest quality early care and education. So it's having that reassurance and using those dollars to help those most in need, and then also to help us keep our doors open.
Yes, that's awesome. I think that's one thing that I do, I like about the funding that we're able to provide. You're able to use that as things come up, as things are necessary. So that's great. It's also nice to hear that those families that are transitioning are able to apply for that scholarship, because it can be, like you said, a culture shock. And I think that's sometimes something that doesn't, that people don't realize, if you're not in that situation. So
yes. Well, and another aspect of that is, and I just realized this, not only do we have some families who are transitioning from the subsidy program to full pay, which again, that's the whole goal of it.
Right.
And they all recognize that, and they're so appreciative of all the assistance that they've been able to get to this point. But some of our families are seeing, because they're getting some better paying jobs, their co-pays through the subsidy program are going up significantly. And so I want to make sure that, again, that doesn't create a hardship for them, that we can have a little bit of a cushion for them to apply for.
Right. That's awesome. I love to hear that. I think you've kind of already touched on this question, but the title of the video series is called Leaders in Community Impact. How do you think your organization is making the most impact in the DeKalb community?
Well, again, I want to circle back to we're providing high quality early childcare, early education and childcare for as many families as we can. Unfortunately, right now, prior to the pandemic, we had 153 children enrolled at CLC. That was part-time school-age children before and or after, and then full-time infant through preschool age care and education. We were already, before the pandemic, we were already in a crisis with hiring qualified teachers. And so that the pandemic has just exacerbated that problem. It's beyond critical. It's catastrophic. So we currently have 88 children enrolled. So a little over half. So we're about 55% of our enrollment. And we have people. This morning I greeted a young woman who has 4 children in the entryway and had her fill out a childcare inquiry form. We cannot possibly meet the demand because we do not have enough qualified teachers. We have space in every classroom. However, we cannot enroll children in those classrooms because we do not have enough teachers. So we've been trying to be creative in meeting the demands of the quality early childhood education and childcare. So I think that we are leaders in our community. Children's Learning Center leads the charge along with other programs, childcare programs in our community. We lead together as a team. So I would not want to suggest that Children's Learning Center is at the top of the list. We're all in it together. And we have directors meetings once a month. We just had one on Friday. And we all look to one another to provide ideas and support and just that emotional piece and mental and emotional piece that we all desperately need right now, because we are all in the same crisis with the staffing shortages. So it's just a matter of working together with our partners, working together with our colleagues, sometimes being the person who steps up and steps in, and being open and willing to meet with community partners to get the word out about Kishwaukee United Way.
Oh, that's awesome. So this you've kind of touched on that on this as well, as far as like goals that you have. Obviously, hiring is, I'm sure, at the top of the list. Are there ways that the center can utilize volunteers or anything of that nature to kind of help the center?
That's a really good question. And I think that right now in the pandemic state, it's really difficult to think about volunteers and how we could best utilize our volunteers because we're so focused on a day-to-day basis of we're in constant state of triage, basically.
Right.
And however, I'm hopeful. I am very hopeful for the coming year that we will be able to return to those creative ways of having volunteers help us at CLC directly in the building, whether it be every year with the United Way Day of Caring. We have volunteers who help us move mulch out on the playground and to clean up our playground, beautify it. Sometimes there's sand to be moved. And, that might not sound like a lot, but when you're getting 12 yards of that big semi dump truck is coming in and dumping 12 yards of mulch, and you have to manually move that by using wheelbarrows and shovels and rakes. It's a morning of very physical labor, and we couldn't get it done without the volunteers. I know this past June, we had great volunteers. We got the work done really fast. And the year before, we didn't have any Kishwaukee United Way volunteers. And that was partly by design because we weren't sure how we could work side by side, even though it was outdoors.
Right.
None of us knew enough about the pandemic at that point.
Right.
But this year, I'm hopeful that we will be able to return to a more typical opportunity for volunteers to come into our building, perhaps help us with some cleanup inside. Although we do a lot of cleaning every day, it's pretty clean. But just some of those projects that we can't get to, whether it be reorganizing cabinets or sorting through game pieces, those tasks that are so meaningful, but we don't typically have the time to do it.
Right.
Also, we look forward to volunteers coming in and spending time in classrooms with the children, sharing their talents. We have, which prior to the pandemic, we had families who would come in and do different holiday celebrations or share experiences with children about travel. And we used to have volunteers from Kishwaukee United Way come in and do those kinds of things as well. Also the Kishwaukee Kiwanis Club and the DeKalb Kiwanis Club. Yeah. So we've had to put a halt to all of those in-person kinds of experiences that are so incredibly meaningful, and they provide such rich opportunities for all of us, not only for the children, but for the adults, the teachers, the staff that work here at CLC. So I'm hopeful that that's the goal. One of the goals that I have for this coming year is that we will be able to return to more of that in-person sharing of experiences and knowledge and skills.
For sure. My last question is, how do you use the 211 resource and referral line as a tool in your agency?
We do have that a direct link to that on our website, and I don't know if we have it on their Facebook page or not. I don't manage the Facebook page, so I'd have to ask Robin, but I could certainly make a note of that. However, I'm just making a note here. Oh, I'm so sorry.
No worries.
Turn that down. So currently, the first thing that we do with 211 resource and referral is make sure that CLC's info is up to date. We want our information to be as current as possible, because if someone is making a referral to the 211 resource and referral for childcare, if it's obsolete information, then it's meaningless.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that we do, is we keep that up to date. The second thing that we do is we refer families to it if we find that we just have exhausted all of our resources or all of our connections that we can think of. We, again, I'll go back to the every Friday, or a Friday every month, we meet the directors of the programs in DeKalb County, and this, we actually the 4C service delivery area, but it pretty much just sticks with people in DeKalb County. Sometimes we have directors from outside the county, but we have the, that's where we collaborate. That's where, those are the connections that we have within our agencies for childcare and supports for families. So we may use that, but we also do recommend for the 211 for other resources that might be outside of our network or outside of our wheelhouse. So a year ago, I was wearing two hats in our community, and so I use the referral to the 211 a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
In my with the other hat that I wore, but I don't wear the hat anymore. But it's still something that I gained a lot more experience with, what 211 is, what it can do, what it provides for people in our community. So I am a huge advocate for referring people to 211 for additional resources, maybe outside of the scope of what we have connection to.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear you say that. That's, well, the first two things that you said, actually, having that direct link on your website, I think is awesome. I think sometimes people don't realize that 211 can be accessed online as well, that same database, and then also keeping your information up to date. That's awesome to hear too, because it's only, kind of like you said, it's only as good as we make it, right? So we need to make sure that the information is correct and up to date. So all good things. Well, that's all I had, Nancy. I'm so glad that I was able to sit down and touch base with you. I know that you're very busy, so I truly appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for having me on, and it was great to see you and spend some time with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
So there we have it. That was our Tour Tuesday for today. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye, Nancy.